Hello everyone and welcome to this tournament playthrough for a rookie division. If you do want to follow along when I go through all the holes that you will play in the tournament, then use the info box on the right hand side. Obviously all of that are just suggestions. You don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but now please enjoy the video. Hole number one is a fun par 4 in my opinion, because here we can actually go for an hole-in-one. Playing from front tee allows us to actually go for a rough bump in a crosswind and a tailwind, but you obviously have to have the correct amount of spins. And here we come once again, which you will hear many times in this video, that we come in a scenario where we're going to have to guess a lot because we do not have a good ball guideline. Adjust is max plus 20. I'm using 2 top spin and 2 right spin based on how the ball rolls out. We don't really need the 2 top spin. We definitely need, like, what can I say, like maximum half a bar of top spin, if even that. But it's still safe, and we're getting ourselves a short little wedge for the pin. For those of you that do have the possibility to play with 4 backspin or more, which you don't really have with the lower level clubs, but for those that do have that possibility, you can bounce over the bunker if you do not fancy the rough bump. On hole number 2, if we do have a crosswind or a tailwind, I will be playing with my sniper and go for a rough bump. And that's because I do believe that the rough bump is definitely, especially with the sniper that do have a nice ball guideline when playing rough bumps, that do have a very good chance for a drop. Playing with a long iron such as the backbone, if we do have a tailwind as a rough bump, is not really something that I would recommend. I would, if so, recommend to bounce on the fairway before the rough and bounce up towards the pin. But the rough bump is by far the best chance for a drop here, in my opinion. We are very close to min clubs. We're playing min distance with 10% elevation. Ball clips the rough, rolls up the green, and we're dropping nicely dead center for the hole-in-one. For hole number 3, you can see me playing with a quarterback level 7. I'm using all the top spin, which is a little bit more than 3 bars, it looked like, and as much right spin that I can with a quasar. Adjust is going to be mid plus 10. Sorry about that. You can see that in the info box I do suggest a katana ball instead of a quasar. Why is that? It's because the katana will give you more power on the approach, which means that your max club will be closer to pin. It's going to give you more room, and also that it does have 3 right spin, which I do think is helpful, especially if you do have a wind coming right to left. Now, we do have like the 3 top spin here that we're using, and whilst that works, we have loads of room on the second fairway, so there's nothing wrong by using another driver that gives you more top spin. So let's say like even a lower level extra mile with a 4.5 bars of top spin would reach you a little bit longer, and then you wouldn't be that far away from the pin. Now, you know, again, if we would be rolling a little bit further, we would be closer to hole. If we would be having a ball with more power, such as katana, we would be a little bit closer to hole. And that would open up more possibilities here. Now we are forced to bounce on the fairway. I do personally enjoy having a rough bump there on the top left to attack the pin, which is not really that aggressive because there's so much rough to work on that you have loads of room. But again, as we are going so short on the drive, we are forcing ourselves to just go with this type of bounce up play. And for me, this type of bounce up play, especially with a ball guideline that is not fully developed, it's gonna be such a hit or miss, and it's very easy to miss so much that I'm doing here in the video. Hole number 1, we are going to go for the green slash the fairway around the green. And here, if you do have a ball that has more power than power 2, power 3, you can use that and you can have a much easier time. But as per the playthroughs, we're keeping ourselves free to play, meaning that we're using the balls that you can obtain for free in the game without having to spend any money. But again, if you do have the possibility to play with a ball that is a paid ball that gives you more power, or even a berserker ball from the golden shot, then that's a good thing to do. Max plus a 20 is what I'm adjusting the drive, and then using some right curl together with all the right spin possible. Intention is to, once again, to land it by the green or to land it for a wedge. If you land it for a wedge, we do recommend that you use the wedge that gives you the best ball guideline, and also then afterwards accuracy. So the Firefly level 5 here is truly a really good club for being played in rookie division, in my opinion, but it's only to somewhat display what I kind of want with this, and that is, once again, to use a club that has a good ball guideline, and after that you look at the accuracy. Because if you do have a poor ball guideline, then you can do like this, which is absolutely terrible. We do want to walk away from hole 1 with an eagle. Take your game to the next level with our ultimate tournament text guide for the Carnival Sweeps 18-hole cup. We're gonna play Vineyard Acres and Sunshine Glades. This is also a tournament where we do have steady wins, so the wins that you do get in the qualifying round will follow along up until the weekend round, or the final round as it's called, which is absolutely brilliant. As always, for 18-hole cups, we are doing a Master Division guide. And when it comes to Master Division, we are providing free-to-play ball alternatives and paid ball alternatives, full swing all the way from the day 1. Very important to make note that we are pushing hard from the first minute, trying to provide the content as quickly as possible without trying to mess with the quality one bit. You also get access to not just the text guides, but you do get access to videos with voiceover, combined with access to our Telegram chats, where you can ask questions if there's something that you just don't understand. So do what thousands and thousands are doing every single season in Golf Clash, is to join our Patreon on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. You have the link in the description down below, or you can scan the QR code here on the screen. Hole number 2, the standard way of playing this hole is to bounce on the fairway that is there before the pin or before the green, and bounce up attacking it. That's the standard way. Now, we have played this game for so long, some of us, that has opened up for like looking at rough bumps either to the left side of the green or just to the right side of the green. But those type of rough bump is going to require a decent chunk of side spin. That means that we are not really going to be able to play that with any sort of free-to-play ball. Max plus 10 is the standard adjustment here, but as always on par 3s, don't be afraid of changing the adjustment to suit the outcome. Meaning, if I'm missing like that, and having that particular wind angle in the tournament, I would maybe be inclined to play max plus 15 instead, to move the ball a little bit more right, to not have to change my aim point. Now, that's obviously a little bit of knowledge that might not be suitable for some players, but it's something that I think about when I kind of miss some par 3s like that I'm not afraid of changing the elevation, changing the club distance, or changing, my setup as whole to suit the outcome that I'm getting when I'm practicing, or if I play the last round and I missed and stuff like that. But sniper is the club. Marlin ball is not something you have to use, but it is enough to play with that ball if you would so like not playing with any other ball. Hole number 3, we are going to bounce over the water. If you do have a driver that do not have much curl, we do recommend to use a ball with side spin instead. So here I'm using a side spin 3 ball, such as a katana, using top spin and right spin, half a ball of right curl, and we are bouncing on the fairway over the water, rough and sand, and land for a long iron towards the pin. The drive here, in my opinion, is more of the simpler side of things, but the important part with the drive is to somewhat try to give yourself some sort of a consistency with the drive distance. Because if you have an intention of going for an albatross, then you are going to have to go for a rough bump, or you're going to have to go for a backspin shot. If you do not have higher level clubs, you can't really go for the backspin shot, which is to go past the pin and then roll back into the hole. So the rough bump will then become the play. And if you do not have a consistent drive distance, the rough bump is going to be pretty hard to somewhat determine what type of club range you're in. And that's the whole point with having a consistent drive. No elevation on the second shot. Is all about choosing the correct spins and the correct club distance, and then you have a very good chance for an albatross. And in a worst case scenario, you will just roll up and you will miss maybe like that, or maybe miss differently, and you have a very short putt to save the eagle. For hole number 4 here, with a crosswind and a headwind, we're gonna bounce on the fairway and get down the left side of the bunker and the trees. We obviously want to roll far down enough to not have the trees in our view when it's time to take the second shot. If you do have a tailwind and you have the possibility to play with a power 5 ball, you can go for the small pad that is to the right in the water by the green. You can bounce on that up to the pin. That's an aggressive route, obviously, and the water is most definitely in play with that. But it's a possibility, and for those that do want to take that little extra risk for a possible reward of being on the green, or actually getting a hole-in-one on a par 4, can do so. Second shot, we do have the thorn. We're going to be close to the min line here, so you're going to have to decide for what you want to do. Either you go for a dunk, but the dunk here, in my opinion, is something you're going to have to be familiar with if that's going to be your preferred choice of play. Because the dangerous part with dunk is that if you're not adjusting properly, you may hit the pin, and that might actually roll you out of the green, and then you have a wedge instead of a putt. You can obviously bounce up towards the pin, but the benefit from a dunk on this type of fairway is that the fairway and the green is extremely bumpy, and the dunk is obviously taking that away by us going directly into the hole. So up to you to decide what you want to go with. And obviously we play with a thorn here in hole number 4. We do not play with a sniper. No elevation on the second shot here for the dunk. That's the same elevation I would be doing if I would be bouncing up towards the pin. On hole number 5, this is a tough par 3 in my opinion, and here we do have a replay that goes with 1 right spin and half a bar of a backspin. What we're looking for here now is to get this ball guideline to be short of the hole, so it's not going to show the rollout, but pointing at the hole. That's obviously a difficult thing to do from this distance, because it's, you know, the ball guidelines position is definitely very subjective from here. Adjust min plus 20. We are using a 20% elevation for this particular par 3. Now, when you do drop down into the sand, you can either compensate for that by using overpower or push up, or you already have bundled that one in your complete setup by, you know, having the aim point to compensate for that, which we do have in this replay. Ball bounces on the fairway, goes over the bunker and rolls down, dropping nicely for the hole-in-one. Hole number 6, we're gonna play down the right-hand side here. Sure, you can play left-hand side if you would so like, but then you're gonna have to play with a different driver. The benefit from playing the right-hand side is that it's gonna make it as conservative as you possibly can, whereof it's a little bit more aggressive on the left-hand side due to having to bounce over the water. 3 top spin, 3 left spin, and we're using some curl to push the ball in left. We're using our quarterback, and we are doing a max plus 10, getting to around 300 yards. From there, we're gonna play with our sniper. Now I can see we do not have the sniper here on the second shot. We're gonna have it there, and we're gonna play this one as a bounce over, and it's gonna be no elevation here for the sniper. And you can see that I'm playing with no spin. So I'm trying to simplify this second shot as much as possible. For those that do want to go a little bit more aggressive, you can play for a rough bump a little bit higher up if you would so like. Not something you have to do. but it's something that is definitely possible. Perfect ball it is, and it bounced on the fairway up onto the green, and we're missing just left, but this is definitely a good chance for an albatross. For those that has played any of the golden shot mediums when we have had this hole, this is going to be a very similar way of going about it. We're bouncing on the fairway and we are attacking the pin. Now, you see me playing with a basic ball. You know, it's not for me to flex playing with a basic ball, not at all. But it is a par 3 that is very friendly in terms of not having to use any good balls if you don't obviously want to. The benefit by using a ball that has better stats is mainly the wind resistance. As always, when it comes to par 3s, the more wind resistance you have in your ball, and obviously the lower wind you have, and then that's going to be easier to be consistent with the end result. Max plus 20 with our backbone, and we're using spins that allows ourselves to get the ball to stop in time. Now we're burning the left edge, which is a little bit unlucky, but as always, when it comes to par 3s, make sure to tweak to suit the outcome. One last little thing is like try to use a long iron that gives you the best possible ball guideline and accuracy. A Grizzly level 7 plus is a really good club for that. And also there are other clubs as well, obviously, but Grizzly level 7 plus has the 4.5 ball guideline, and that will help you immensely if you have the possibility to use that club. Hole number 5 is a par 5 where we do benefit loads from playing with a ball with a lot of power. I will be playing with a power 3 ball here to show that it's possible to make an eagle, even if only using a power 3 ball. But the suggestion in the info box on the right hand side that you can see is a power 5 ball such as the Berserker. If you have the possibility to use that type of ball, that's the ball to use, because that will actually open up the possibility for an albatross. If we do only have the possibility to play with a power 3 ball, we're going to just have to lay up and have to play for the eagle. Max plus 10 on the drive, I'm using left spin and top spin and also curl to try to get the ball to stay as close to the left hand side of the fairway together with as far up as possible. Then you can obviously decide how hard you want to push that drive, because you can push it really hard and give yourself a closer shot to green, but I don't see the point with that if your intention is to go for eagle only. Only if you are pushing for an albatross, then I would push the drive really hard. Now we're playing this one to just save the eagle, which is we are using all the topspin that we can. We are aiming for the second bounce to be by the edge of the rough line if we do have a headwind. If we do have a tailwind, we need to back up a little bit, because otherwise we're going to fly over the rough, or we're going to bounce over the rough. And then we are getting the ball to be like that, and we have a putt for the eagle. Very tough albatross to get here, especially if you're playing this one with just free to play balls. Hole number 6, we are going to lay up on the right hand side of the fairway, and we are here using a navigator ball. We're setting up with our quarterback at very close to max distance, and we're swapping to our extra mile. We are kind of realizing that we do need to have a little bit more power, especially when we do have a headwind, as we do not want to roll into the rough or have to adjust into the max line and have to use overpower. Max plus 10 is the adjustment. What you have to have in mind here is that this side we are always going to leave a sniper. If you do go on the left hand side of that rough and the bunker that is in the center there, then you're going to have a much shorter shot towards the pin, and I do feel that that's going to be in general a little bit more aggressive, but also gonna be fairly good chance for a drop. Now I do use my sniper using the ball guideline to the hole, and I'm using the first bounce to be a fair bit away from the rough line to the left. And the reason I do that is to allow myself to hit great, and also any type, and giving myself just more fault margin really. when attacking here from distance. No elevation on the second shot. It's all about choosing the correct club distance and obviously spins and stuff like that. In the end, you have to hit perfect. If you do hit a great ball, you should be missing just like that. But a decent chance for an eagle. For hole number 7, the last par 3, and here the standard way here is to play bouncing on the fairway over the fringe. And the reason I say over the fringe is because there is a little downslope there, and that little downslope is, can I say, a bit finicky because it's very easy to get a glitch roll by bouncing there. Is the point that I'm trying to make. I'm using a little bit of backspin. And don't be afraid of using side spin if you feel that that's necessary, and especially if you do not want to land as close to the rough line like I'm doing here, then there's nothing wrong by using a little bit of right spin to be able to move your aim more left. Mid plus 20 here, and the reason we're using the plus 20 is to compensate for the very high bounce we're getting there. You see how high that bounce is getting? And that's very easy to be under adjusted like we are here in the video as well, because again, the higher bounce we have, the more effect the wind is gonna give the ball, and it's then gonna be moving left in this instance as we have wind right to left. But definitely a decent and solid chance for an hole-in-one. Take your game to the next level with our ultimate tournament text guide for the Carnival Sweeps 18-hole cup. We're gonna play Vineyard Acres and Sunshine Glades. This is also a tournament where we do have steady winds, so the winds that you do get in the qualifying round will follow along up until the weekend round, or the final round as it's called, which is absolutely brilliant. As always, for 18-hole cups, we are doing a Master Division guide. And when it comes to Master Division, we are providing free-to-play ball alternatives and paid ball alternatives, full swing all the way from the day one. Very important to make note that we are pushing hard from the first minute, trying to provide the content as quickly as possible without trying to mess with the quality one bit. You also get access to not just the text guides, but you do get access to videos with voiceover combined with access to our Telegram chats, where you can ask questions if there's something that you just don't understand. So do what thousands and thousands are doing every single season in Golf Clash, is to join our Patreon on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. You have the link in the description down below, or you can scan the QR code here on the screen. Hole number 7, we are going to go down on the left-hand side using the 4.5 bar topspin and 1 right spin. I'm using a navigator because I do feel that there is value in reducing the wind as much as we can, especially for the approach. Now, obviously, you can play with many different type of balls here, but it's my personal choice to go with a navigator in this scenario. Max plus 10 is the adjustment. Simple, center the ball and let the ball roll down the fairway without risking going into the rough on the right and the bunker on the left. On the second shot, we are then looking to play with our backbone, and the backbone is long iron that you do get to upgrade fairly quickly in the beginning of stages of the game. Obviously, if you do have a Grizzly level 7 plus or a B52 level 7 plus, I would recommend to use that instead. And the reason for that is because you do have a better ball guideline, also better accuracy, but especially the ball guideline will then help you not having to guess how the ball is going to bounce here now on the fringe, because that's the difficult part in my opinion. If you're going to have to guess how the ball is going to roll out, you are going to be inconsistent. It's just how it's going to be. So many cases, especially with shots like this, I believe it's definitely way more difficult to drop shots consistently with having a poor ball guideline. Now, we're not endangering anything, we're getting the birdie, but in the end, you know, obviously, we do want to push as hard as we can for an eagle. On hole number 8, we do have a replay that is attacking the pin from the min line. So we here use the P1 min line You can see that we're playing with a navigator. We're looking to have the yellow ring to be very close to the rough, or sorry, not the yellow ring, but the red ring there. Looking to use somewhat around 1 top spin and 1 left spin. Ball guideline is then positioned to be going at the hole, favoring the right side of the pin. Adjust min plus 10 from this distance. So making the correct movement here, making the adjustment, and then it's time to hit perfect. Have in mind that if having a higher level sniper like the replay here in the video has, then you will have a good ball guideline. The low level snipers is going to have a pretty poor ball guideline, and it's going to have to be a lot of guesswork when it comes to aiming at the hole. So obviously having a better club is definitely going to be an advantage here, but a perfect ball regardless though is still going to bounce over the water and get yourself a minimum a birdie. On hole number 9, we're gonna play over the water on the left-hand side. The reason for that is that it will give us a much safer way to get the eagle, but most importantly, it gives us a very good look at the albatross. If you're playing on the right-hand side on this course, you're gonna see yourself struggling immensely to have a chance for the albatross, and it's actually gonna be a much tougher way of saving the eagle or getting the eagle. Max plus 10 is my adjustment. I'm using all the right spin that I can together with all the top spin that I can. So for those of you that do have more top spin than 4.5, I recommend for you to use that, because the more top spin we have, the lesser overpower we can use. And that goes hand in hand as well with using a ball with, if so, more overpower. Sorry, more power. So let's say you play with a power 4 ball or a power 5 ball instead of the power 3 ball Titan that I'm using in the video. You give yourself a chance to start higher up and therefore don't have to use that much overpower. Now, you can decide for 2 ways of playing here. One, you go for the rough bump up there. The rough bump is a bit aggressive, so you're gonna have to kind of know your stuff to make sure that you're actually hitting rough. If you feel uncomfortable with that, then the bounce up is the way to go. And the bounce up isn't bad, but it's somewhat, with lower level clubs, doesn't really give you a decent ball guideline to follow. And I'm saying that every time, that if you do not have a decent ball guideline to follow, we are relying more and more on the luck by with our aim, because we can't know for certain that we're actually aiming at the hole. No elevation on this shot, and once again we are bouncing up the fairway and getting ourselves a nice little look at the albatross. Hole number 8 is a pretty long par 5, not so much if we're trying to shoot directly onto the green, but there's a lot of rough and trees on the right hand side, and you can obviously go out of bounds if you're not reaching far enough. So you're gonna have to lay up here on the left, and as this is just, I mean, it's 90 degrees to the left here at the curve, and that's going to be obviously a long way towards the pin. So the drive in itself is pretty simple. You play it straight down the fairway using max plus 10 as the adjust on the drive, and then as much right spin that you can, together with somewhere between 3 to 6 bars of top spin. I like to use right curl as well, and the reason I use right curl is to kind of compensate for the extra push to the left that you're getting from the slope where we bounce on the fairway. Second shot, I go with a Guardian, and the Guardian is, I would say, the more conservative way of playing here, basically using the slope that is behind the green to let the ball fall back down towards the pin. What I mean with conservative is that this is a way of not taking any risks at all, but also the chance for a drop is going to be pretty slim, as you're going to have to be pretty lucky. What you can do is that you can use a rough bump that is there by the green. It's a pretty skinny rough bump though, so be careful if you do that. Or you can of course look into sand bumps and stuff like that. But again, the more conservative way is to use the slope there, and if you're lucky you will roll that one into the hole. But other than that, it's going to be a very safe birdie. Hole 9 is one of the longer par 5s that we do have in the whole game. And the reason this one is so long is because we do have that massive rough in between the first two fairways. Because if you cannot reach over to the other side on your drive, which you can't really do if you're not having a lot of topspin boost. I mean, here from the front tee, you probably need to have topspin boost 5 together with like an apocalypse level 8 to even have some sort of a chance. It's not gonna make it over all the time anyway, but at least to have some sort of a chance. But the normal way, or the standard way of playing this hole, is that we are actually playing for an eagle, and that an eagle should be considered a drop, because the albatross is not gonna be obtainable if you do lay up like that. On the second shot, we do go with our wood club, the big dog. I like to go with the one that has the most power and also the most topspin, so we can give ourselves a nice and easy way of rolling past the trees on the right hand side, because that is important. You need to roll past the tree on the right hand side, otherwise you will not have a shot for the pin. To just cover the drive as well, I use quarterback as my drive, and I do use the quarterback in the tailwinds. This to allow myself for the best possible accuracy and ball guideline to avoid rolling into the rough. Now for the third shot, we're going to change around a little bit here. We're going to change to a short iron. We are also going to change to like mid here in the box, and then we're going to put on the video, because now we're not really done. Like, so we do have a short iron, and this short iron, there's pressure on this one. We kind of have to drop a short iron like this if we're going to have any sort of chance for a good spot in the tournament. And that's a reason to why I kind of enjoy this par 5. It's always like the last hole in the tournament, and it's like, okay, now you're always going to have this type of pressure shots, regardless if you do have precision ball or not equipped. It's still going to be that pressure on that, okay, if I'm dropping this one, I might have a good shot for a top spot. If I'm missing this one, I might be bumped down like 5 to 10 positions. I like to play this type of shot no spin if possible. I'm not against using spins here, but no spin gives the more natural rollout in my opinion. And adjust is going to be different depending on where you are in your club distance, but the elevation is going to be no elevation, so 0%. Thank you everybody for watching and this playthrough for a rookie division. If you do have any type of questions about the content that I do here on the channel, never hesitate to reach out. And yes, if you enjoyed it, don't forget to thumbs up on your way out.